Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto Got Harem with Temari, Shizuka and Hotaru Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. It was a long and treacherous mission for the retrieval squad of Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamichi, Neji Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka and Akamaru, but it was more treacherous for Naruto Uzumaki. It came down to fighting his comrade rival to keep him from going to nuke Nin Orochimaru, who wanted the ocular power known as the Sharingan. In a last-ditch effort, Naruto called upon the chakra of the Kyuubi no Kitsune to defeat Sasuke, who harnessed the power of a cursed mark put on him by Orochimaru. When they collided, both were knocked unconsciously as Kakashi Hatake arrived and brought them back to Konoha while the others were rounded up and brought back to the hospital. The group was recuperating in Konoha's hospital for several days, but Naruto was discharged earlier, having healed quickly than the others. He was about to grab a bite at his favorite ramen stand until an Anbu landed before him. Naruto Uzumaki, your presence is demanded by the council immediately. What? And just when I was about to eat. He sighed. Alright, let's get this over with. He headed off to the administration building where a big issue was about to be addressed that would lead to outrage. Soon he stood before Tsunade, Jiraiya, the elder council, the village, and the clan heads, Uzumaki, Naruto. For the attempt of murdering a Konoha shinobi, and the threat of releasing the Kyuubi, you are hereby stripped from your rank and banished from Konoha. You have exactly 2 days to get your stuff and leave. If you are seen here after the days are up, you will be killed on sight. Danzo announced. What? Tsunade Senju, the Godime Hokage, bellowed. What did you say? She demanded as her teammate Jiraiya held her down. You've heard us correctly, Princess. Naruto Uzumaki is to be banned from Konoha for attempting murder on Sasuke Uchiha. Danzo continued. You can't do that. Naruto shouted in outrage. But we can, Uzumaki, and we will. Homura warned him. Last I recall, the mission was to bring Sasuke back to the village at all costs. Naruto reminded them. Regardless of the details, you did and in fact nearly murdered a Konoha shinobi. Danzo retorted. So what was I supposed to do? Let Sasuke kill me and go to Orochimaru? Naruto demanded. Even you old fossils should know there's no such thing as a clean fight on the battlefield. Besides, you think he was busted up? Look what he did to me. He lifted his shirt up, showing 2 scars that Sasuke jabbed into his chest from his Chidori technique, and both were incredibly close to the heart. The clan heads looked in sorrow for the boy, seeing he took so many hits from his supposed comrade and is getting repaid by being banned. Nevertheless, of your injuries, Uzumaki, our word is clear. Koharu answered. This is stupid. Naruto called. You're favoring a bloody traitor over someone who risked his life for this village. Silence, demon. A villager shouted as more villagers started trash-talking him. Silence. Tsunade bellowed, silencing them. You all cannot hold Naruto responsible for the trouble Sasuke Uchiha was put the retrieval squad through. He may have used the Kyuubi's chakra, but he clearly has it under control, as he demonstrated in Chunin exams, where he defeated Hyuga Neji without causing him any undue harm. Jiraiya voiced in having witnessed it. With all due respect, Jiraiya, Danzo continued, your training with the container has not given us the desired results. Clearly the boy's emotions are linked to his ability to call upon the demon's power, and since he is unable to control his emotions, he cannot control a powerful enough amount of demonic chakra without losing control of his actions. The Uchiha's injuries are proof enough to attest to this. Danzo, you are seriously crossing the line. Tsunade ordered until Naruto called. It's okay, Grandma. Naruto answered without lifting his face up to look at anybody. Naruto. Tsunade gasped. You council folk, you've been at my throat ever since I was born because of something I had no control of, nor did I ever ask to be a part of, he continued, but I guess that doesn't matter to you, does it? Nothing ever does. I'd hoped I'd be able to make an impact in this village and show you all I'm not what you think of me as. But I guess I was wrong. you're just selfish assholes biased towards anybody different from you. The civilians started lashing out at him until Tsunade shouted, "Quiet. As Hokage, I demand a compromise if I am to actually more or which against my own will banish Naruto that I ask for something in return." "What do you wish of Tsunade?" Homura asked. "That if Naruto is banned from the village, Sasuke Uchiha is to be put under permanent lockup and have his chakra sealed off for attempting to go nuke Nin and attacking a Konoha shinobi." The civilians started objecting until Shikaku Nara voiced his opinion. "I side with Tsunade on these terms." "As do I," Chusa Akamichi agreed. "Me too," Inoichi Yamanaka said. "And me," Sume Inazuka added. "I side with Tsunade as well," Shibi Aburame said. "And so do I," Hiyashi Hyuga finished. Danzo frowned, seeing Tsunade's supportive members of the clan heads were overpowering against his plot to get rid of Naruto, but sighed. "The council approves of this request, only if Uzumaki Naruto leaves Konoha." "And I will." Naruto frowned. "Then you have exactly 2 days to leave. Your time starts now," Danzo said as the meeting ended. Naruto, without saying a word, turned around and walked off while Tsunade wanted to go after Naruto, but Jiraiya held her back, shaking his head, signaling it probably wasn't best to go to him now. That very night at Naruto's musty old run-down apartment, Room was packing just about the essentials he needed and wouldn't even bother leaving his apartment the next day, otherwise it'd only give the village satisfaction of showing himself in public. "All I've ever done, all the times I risked my for others, for this village comes down to me getting banned for something that wasn't my fault," he grumbled. "Sucks, doesn't it?" A demonic voice rang in his mind. "QB, I thought you would be sleeping. I was, but all that ranting at the meeting woke me up. You do realize this is partially your fault. Oh sure, blame me for everything that's happened." The fox replied sarcastically. "Well hey, if it weren't for you I wouldn't be treated like this. Think again, Naruto, it's like you said to them, they're biased towards anything different. Believe me, I went from multiple vessels before you throughout the centuries and everyone treated the vessel I was sealed inside of like shit. It's because they're afraid. Afraid. Yes, they know of your potential, and that's why they've suppressed all training and such from you, because they feared if you ever knew how to completely harness my powers you may end up destroying them and whatnot. It never was in my plan to destroy anyone in the village, but after this I'd feel very tempted to. However, that'll only prove them right. So what'll you do once you leave? I don't know, but somewhere out there I'll find the answer." The very next day, Tsunade and Shizune had informed Naruto's friends and the Jonin of the situation, and needless to say they were not happy at all. Shikamaru, who many would have assumed was just too troublesome, declared it as an outrage. Choji was so mad he didn't even think of his stomach. Neji was appalled that the council would just do something like this to a Konoha shinobi who did nothing wrong through their eyes. Kiba was growling up a storm, threatening to wring the council's necks, but was held back by Shino. Lee was crying waterfalls, seeing a fellow dead last who always pushed himself to his peak was getting banished, and vowed to train stronger so that one day he'd be stronger for both their sakes. Ino was outraged at what was happening to Naruto, because deep down she always did have a soft spot for him, and he also loved to garden in his spare time, and anyone who liked flowers were alright in her book. Tenten was enraged that the village she served would treat one of their own ninja like filth. After she saw Naruto defeat Neji in the Chunin exams, she'd grown to respect Naruto, who fought hard against Neji even when the odds were against him. Hinata, however, was just crushed. Her one true love, whom she'd watched from the sides for years, had been banished from the village and she'd probably never see him again. But she knew she'd have to tell him before it was too late. But the most suffering out of them was Sakura, who couldn't help but feel she was part at fault. If I hadn't made Naruto promise to bring Sasuke back, they both wouldn't have gotten hurt and Naruto wouldn't be banished. What kind of comrade am I if I let my team fall apart? She thought in sadness. The Jonin weren't taking this too well either, especially Kakashi. Sensei, I've failed to protect a comrade yet again. I'm so sorry. The group wanted to go to Naruto's to visit him, but Tsunade warned them to not to go near him or the council may arrest them for trying to associate with a ninja about to be banished. Kiba ignored her pleas and tried anyway, only to be blocked by several Anbu guards ordered by Danzo to keep anyone away from Naruto until he left tomorrow. Soon the day had come and Naruto walked through the village ignoring the stares and insults that were thrown at him by the villagers. When he reached the gates he found his fellow genin, Konohamaru and his friends, the Jonin, Tsunade, Shizune, Jiraiya, Iruka, Tsuki, and Ayame waiting for him. Guys, Naruto asked. We've come to see you off, Naruto. We're sorry this came to it. Kakashi apologized. Whatevs. Naruto replied as he stood by the gate looking at everyone. Shikamaru spoke. I want you to know, we all know you did nothing wrong. If anything, I should have taken the blame for letting us split up, letting you to deal with Sasuke alone. I appreciate it, Shikamaru, but you can't change what's happened. Naruto answered. I know, it'll troublesome around here without you despite what everyone else says. The Nara added. Thanks, man. The two locked fists. Choji approached. It won't feel the same not having my favorite eating partner with me. I'm sure you'll manage, Choji. Yeah, I'll have twice as much as I eat so it'll be like you never left. Choji promised. You do that. Naruto smiled. Ino approached. I'm sorry this happened to you, Naruto. You didn't deserve this. I know, Ino, but what can ya do? Ino hugged him. You be careful out there, okay? Yeah. Naruto nodded as he approached Kiba. Afraid we'll never have that rematch, Kiba. Well, you'd probably beat me anyway. Kiba replied. Maybe. Ya never know. Shino approached. I for one believe even if you are banished you will make something new of yourself. Thanks, Shino. This has got to be the first real compliment you've given me. Naruto chuckled. I try. Lee approached. Naruto, I will miss you, dear friend. For you and I are dead lasts in arms. Thanks, I think, but promise me you'll fulfill your dream and become a great ninja for all dead last Sake. And I will. Lee gave him a thumbs up. Naruto looked to Neji. I'm sorry, Neji. I'll never be able to change the Hyuga clan's ways now that I'm banished. Neji shook his head. No, Naruto, for you've already helped mend the ways between the Hyuga clan when you've opened my eyes to the truth. I'll be the one to change my clan for the sake of both main and branch. Naruto smiled. I know you'll pull it off. He then went to Tenten. Sorry I didn't have as much time to get to know you, Tenten. It's okay. I wished I'd gotten to know you a lot more too. Beating Neji and Gaara, whom I thought were unbeatable, proved to me that no matter what you should expect the unexpected. I honestly will miss you. She hugged him. Thanks. Naruto hugged her back and broke it before Hinata approached. Naruto, she began. Sorry, Hinata. I know how much of an inspiration I've been to you. And leaving has to be hard. I just want you to know, Naruto, I love you. She exclaimed, surprising everyone. I love you so much, and you leaving means I'll never see if we were ever meant to be together. But I just had to let you know. I just had to. She launched herself at Naruto, planting her lips upon his own, kissing him. Naruto was shocked but didn't break contact, while everyone else watching were shocked and surprised at her sudden boldness. When the two broke, Naruto was lost for words. Hinata, you, now I get it, that's why you've been so into me. He chuckled. I know I should have come out and told you a long time ago, but I couldn't bring myself to do it before. Hinata drummed her fingers. Well, better late than never, huh? He asked and she smiled with a nod. Naruto noticed Sakura approach. Naruto, I'm sorry. If I hadn't made you promise to bring Sasuke back, none of this wouldn't have happened. Stop it, Sakura. Naruto replied. This had nothing to do with the promise. I wanted to bring him back as well. Just promise me you'll get stronger so that you can protect the village and everyone where I couldn't. I will, Naruto, I promise. Sakura said, drying her eyes. Naruto then approached his sensei. Well, Kakashi-sensei, I guess this is it. I'm sorry too, Naruto. I should have known better than to trust Sasuke with my Chidori. Even though I've spent more time in training Sasuke, I never did consider him my favorite. I know, sensei, I know. Naruto answered. He looked down, seeing Konohamaru, Udon, and Moegi run up to him crying, "Aniki, you can't go, what about our promise?" Konohamaru cried. "Sorry Konohamaru, looks like it'll be up to you to become Hokage in my place." Naruto patted his head. "I swear Naruto, I will become the best Hokage there ever was for both of us." The Sarutobi heir promised. "And we'll be there to help him." Moegi pumped a fist up. "That's right." Udon nodded. "Oh, come here, guys." He pulled the three into a group hug as they cried on him. Naruto then stood up and approached Tsuki and Ayame. "Sorry guys, guess you won't be seeing me around the stand anymore. We will miss you, Naruto. We've never had a customer as happy and excited about our food like you are." Tsuki said and thought, "Damn village council, if I have to close up the shop with my number one customer leaving, there will be hell to pay." Ayame hugged Naruto. "I'm sorry Naruto, you've always been like a little brother to me. I will miss you." "Thanks Ayame-Nisan." Naruto smiled as he approached Iruka. "Naruto, no matter what happens, I'm proud to have been your sensei." Iruka said, choking back some tears. "Thanks Iruka-sensei, and here I want you to have this to remember me by." Naruto untied his headband and gave it to him. "Naruto." Iruka gasped. "Since I can't wear it anymore, and it was yours to begin with, you should be the one to have it." Naruto answered. "Naruto, I'll never forget you. Never." Iruka let some tears out. Naruto then approached Jiraiya. "Ero-sennin, I'm sorry this happened. I blame myself Naruto, I promised someone close to me that nothing would happen to you. But I failed him." Jiraiya sighed in guilt. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you got to train me, but I guess I should end my link with the toads, huh?" "Not necessarily. We can use them to keep in contact." He pulled out a scroll, "And here, I want you to have this, it's something I was meant to give you when you were ready. Now's the time." He handed tea to him. "Thanks," Naruto said, approaching Tsunade. "I'm sorry boss-san, I know you came here to become Hokage thanks to me, and now that I'm leaving it'll seem all for naught." "No Naruto, I'm glad you did what you did bringing me back here," Tsunade began, "and one day I'm going to make the council pay and abolish the banishment of you so you can come home. I appreciate it, but I don't think it'll matter. After all, the villagers will never accept me even if the banishment was made null and void. But thanks anyway." He found himself pulled into an embrace by Tsunade, who cried on his shoulder. "Just promise me you'll be safe out there, because you're like family to me, Naruto." "Same here boss-san." Naruto smiled and suddenly found himself getting pecked on the forehead by her like before. When Tsunade finished, she unzipped his jacket and looked at her grandfather's necklace. "Continue to wear it with honor, Naruto, and always remember there are those who love you." Tsunade shed some tears. Naruto looked around, seeing everyone smiling and assuring him that they'll always remember and care about him no matter what. Naruto smiled as he removed his orange jacket and tossed it aside. "Thanks everyone, I'll never forget any of you. Goodbye." He turned and started walking. Soon his walking led to jogging, and before you knew it, he was running from the village without looking back as tears flowed down his face, having finally unleashed all his bottled up emotions. After Naruto was banished from Konoha, he just kept running and running from the village without looking back, knowing it'd be even harder on him, knowing he could never go back. Soon after reaching the border of the Land of Fire, he had to stop running, knowing he'd gone far enough from his former home. By nighttime, he found a nice clearing by a hillside and decided to make camp there until he'd reach a town at least. Naruto, after finishing his camp, sat before his campfire heating up ramen. He then pulled out the scroll Jiraiya gave him before he departed. "I guess now's a good a time as any to find out what Ero-sennin gave me. Knowing him, it's probably more of his books." He signed but nevertheless unsealed the containments of the scroll to find a letter, a picture of the Yondaime Hokage with a beautiful red-haired woman, and some documents. "What's this?" Naruto asked as he opened up the letter and started reading it. "Dear Naruto, My son, if you are reading this, then this means that the sealing went as I planned it and I perished. If you haven't been told, my name is Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage, and your father. I won't blame you if you feel hatred at me for what I caused you. But you must understand, as the Hokage, I couldn't ask someone else to sacrifice their child, not if I had my own. Your mother Kushina Uzumaki came from Uzushiogakure and it's gone as of now due to many wars. It was unfortunate she died that night when the Kyuubi invaded, and she always looked forward to being a mother. I hoped you'd be seen as a hero of the village for keeping the Kyuubi locked away, but I'm certain I am wrong. This village and its people are too blind and self-absorbed to see past anything. Anyway, I don't have much time left, the Kyuubi is getting closer. I wish to let you know, my son, that I love you, and that no matter what, I will always love you and be proud of you, as your mother is as well. I've enclosed into this scroll the access to the Namikaze fortune as well as documents to your mother's and her village's history. I've also enclosed all the scrolls containing all my jutsu formulas as well as your mother's records of fuinjutsu. I'm truly sorry my son, but I must end this now. I love you my Naruto, and I hope that you will understand why I did what I did, and hope that one day you'll be able to forgive me, and with these final words I tell you this. You will be different, sometimes you'll feel like an outcast, but you'll never be alone. You will make my strength your own. You will see my life through your eyes, as your life will be seen through mine. The son becomes the father and the father becomes the son. With love, Minato Namikaze. Naruto trembled upon this realization and thought to himself, I've been lied to, the council screwed me over more than I thought. They just banished the legacy to their own Hokage. He thought with anger. Shocking isn't it? You knew didn't you? You knew all along. True I did, but let me ask you Naruto, would you have believed me? Naruto wanted to shout again but backed off realizing he probably wouldn't have believed it coming from his demon's mouth. I guess I wouldn't have. Precisely. And since we're on the topic now, how would you like a little history lesson particularly of your mother? What do you know about my mother? Just about everything, for you see lovely Kushina Uzumaki was my previous vessel. What? Mom was a Jinchuriki too and with you sealed inside her. Kid, I've been around for centuries. I've had more vessels than you've had ramen cups in your life. The fox explained. Are all Uzumaki burdened to carry you? Burdened is such a harsh word. But anyway, the Uzumaki clan in fact was the clan that created the seal on your belly that imprisoned me. Did the Uzushio nation and Konoha have ties? As a matter of fact, yes. You know the red spiral imprinted on Konoha jackets and the symbol you had on your jacket before you tossed it? That was the very symbol of the Uzushio nation. Wow, and here I thought it was just a fashion emblem. Naruto joked. Moving on. The ties between the two nations were more than that because your Shodaime Hokage was in fact married to an Uzushio kunoichi named Mito. The Shodaime was married to an Uzumaki. And everyone acted as if there never were any Uzumakis in existence. God, those assholes love keeping secrets. He growled. And once again it's worth noting Mito Uzumaki was in fact my vessel before Kushina was. However, when Mito grew too old, the seal had begun to weaken. It was then I was transferred from Mito to Kushina. Naruto looked at the picture contained in the scroll of both his parents, particularly the image of his mother. Mom, you of all people must understand what I went through growing up. But what was it that made you strong to continue living? Naruto thought until he noticed how happy his parents looked together. Was it love? Bingo, give the kid a prize. The fox said in sarcasm. Hey Kyuubi, I was having a moment here. Kid, enough with the Kyuubi crap, my name is Kurama. Kurama. Yes. Kyuubi is only my title, I mean Shukaku is the Aikibi and you don't hear humans constantly refer to him by that, do you? Well, hey, it never occurred to me that all the Biju had real names. Well, now you know, keep an open mind about these things. Alright, I will. Now that that's out of the way, the big question for you Naruto is where are you going to go now that you can't go back? I never actually thought of it. Naruto admitted. Well, you have so many places to choose from, don't you, and they all treated you better than Konoha did. True. Naruto thought as he ate his ramen slowly to savor every moment. I could go to Suna and stay with Gaara, but he's busy managing the village since being elected leader, and I wouldn't want to bother him. Besides, I could probably never get used to the desert heat. I made friends with Shibuki, who leads Takigakure, Hidden Waterfall, but that place seems too hidden for my taste. There's the snow country where Princess Koyuki rules, and she's been very nice after our mission there, but she said the springtime would only be temporary and that it would be snowy again, and I don't think I could adapt to snowy weather that lasts 24/7. I'm more of a summer or spring guy. And being both ruler of the land and an actress would probably keep her so tied up I probably wouldn't be able to see much of her. Then what about Wave? You're definitely loved there. Yeah, I did make quite an impact on that village, but I wouldn't want a burden to Zuna Gigi and all that. Kid, sometimes you can be too nice. Only to those I care about. Naruto answered as he continued eating. Meanwhile, far away inside a cave appeared several apparitions that wore the cloak of the Akatsuki organization. Well, what did you find? Pain, the leader asked. Zetsu the spy answered. Apparently Naruto Uzumaki has been banished from Konoha. Banished? Kisame Hoshigaki asked. Yes, apparently they didn't take kindly to Naruto roughing up their precious Uchiha. Zetsu answered in amusement. Well, how about that? Guess the Gaki saved your brother from going to Orochimaru, huh, Itachi? Deidara the bomber asked while Itachi Uchiha remained silent. This should make things all the more easier for us now that Naruto is no longer protected by Konoha. Hidan said. Agreed. We should catch him right away. Deidara agreed. No. Pain ordered. If we were to seal the Kyuubi before any of the others, it would cause the Geto Mezzo to shatter. So we must capture the others before him. So we just do nothing with Naruto? Deidara asked in outrage. That is exactly what he means, Deidara. Sasori the puppet master answered. And the time to make these preparations could take a while. Kakuzu added. Agreed, so we'll meet back here in 3 years to begin our mission. Until then, you're all dismissed. Pain ordered, and the apparitions left the cave. The very next morning, Naruto was on the road again, heading for the next town, thinking about all he's learned about his mother and Uzushiogakure from the history scrolls Jiraiya gave him. Man, I can't believe my mother's side of the family had so many secrets. Having large chakra supply, knowledge of sealing jutsu, longevity, not to mention a unique shade of red hair. Maybe I should dye my hair in that same shade. And what good would that do? Kurama thought. Well, I've been going by my mother's maiden name for years without even knowing anything about the Uzumaki clan. I think it's time I embraced it. I see. When Naruto reached the next town, he wandered around until finding a good-looking lodge. This'll do, and with the entire Namikaze fortune at my disposal, I can pay for any room I want. And what will you do when it runs out? You don't even have a job. Kurama reminded him. I'll think of something, Kurama, but right now let me relax and think things through. Naruto said as he entered the lodge and purchased a classy room that looked fit for a daimyo. The place was complete with a king-sized bed, mini bar, circular sofa, and a private bathroom complete with a jacuzzi. Naruto laid on the bed while writing up a list. Alright, that should do it. He summoned 5 clones. Okay guys, listen up. Go into town and collect me the supplies and all on this list, ya dig? Hi. The clones nodded before taking the list and headed off for their master. While they're doing that, I'll catch up on my reading. Naruto pulled out a scroll. You're actually studying. Who are you and what have you done with Naruto? Har har, Kurama. Naruto laughed sarcastically. Now that I'm on my own, I have to start taking matters seriously. Just because I'm no longer a ninja of Konoha doesn't mean I should stop training altogether. So then who will you fight for? Kurama asked, knowing the reason he fought was to protect someone close to him as taught by Haku. As of now, myself, Naruto began, at least until I find new people precious to me. Later that day, Naruto's clones returned with some essentials including food, tools, new clothes, and hair dye. After a shower, Naruto had his clones work in applying red hair dye to his hair and soon was standing in the mirror waist in a towel looking at his hairdo that looked like his old hairstyle, only looser and colored scarlet red like his mother's. Now that's a look I could grow used to. He smiled at how much better he looked with red hair, especially in a bright shade. He then grabbed some of the new clothes his clones purchased for him and prepared to change. After changing, Naruto stood dressed in a new outfit, composed of black shinobi sandals, dark green cargo shorts, and a red short-sleeved shirt covered by a black flak vest left unzipped. First step in a new life, change my look, Naruto said while straightening his vest, and now to find me a place to have dinner. Naruto walked through the town finding someplace to get something to eat. As he walked, he noticed some of the teenage girls were taking glances at him and blushing. Naruto could hear some light gossip amongst them, hearing words like cutie, hottie, handsome, and even sexy. Where was this back in Konoha? He thought to himself, but pressed on, eventually finding a ramen stand and started ordering. By the time he was finished, he covered 20 bowls. The chef whistled. I haven't seen a customer clear that many in under an hour. You must have a bottomless stomach, kid. Actually, I just have a large appetite. Naruto joked and they laughed. I just hope you can cover this bill. The chef replied, ready to be paid. Naruto shipped out plenty of money, surprising the chef, and spoke, will this do? That night Naruto was in bed sleeping peacefully until he rolled onto his side facing the balcony window until a red glow shined on his face, making him groan before he woke up seeing the red glow come from his window. What's that? He looked up into the night sky, seeing something red falling from it, and saw it crashed with a rumble right outside the town into the forest surrounding it. Whoa! He fell back from the earthquake. What the hell was that thing? He asked, getting back up. You're going to check it out, aren't you? Kurama asked. After witnessing what happened, how can I not? Naruto asked as he got dressed and jumped out his balcony window, heading out to the forest. As he ran through the forest trying to determine where it landed, Kurama spoke, Naruto, stop. Naruto halted. Kurama, what's up? Can you feel it? Because I can. Naruto concentrated and started feeling a sensation emanating from the ground below. You're right, I do feel it. But what is it? I don't know, so be careful and follow the trail. Naruto nodded to himself as he followed the trail of energy and started hearing a very high frequency shriek or something. He followed it all the way to a small drop in the woods where he noticed a giant hole in the ground. He stopped before it and looked down it, seeing nothing but dark. It landed here, he said, and looked around seeing no one else was coming. Guess everyone in town must be a heavy sleeper. He said, noticing no one else had shown up since he arrived or made it here before he did. Well, no one can tell me what to do now, so I'll check it out myself. Naruto said as he grabbed a rope and tied it to a tree as he slowly climbed down the hole, landing at the bottom. Naruto could feel the damp air on his skin and heard the shrieking sound that led him to the hole, sounding louder underground. He wandered through the cavern, going through multiple twists and turns, using a spare rope he used as a trail to lead him back to the opening so he wouldn't get lost underground. Whatever's down here is close, I can feel it. Kurama said. Yeah, so do I. Naruto agreed as he continued following the trail until he saw a faint red glow coming from around a corner. He followed it until he reached the corner and entered another chamber, suddenly noticing the red glow was turning bright blue as if his presence was causing it to happen. He looked ahead and found a startling object. The source of the glow was from a really big crystalline object. It almost looked like a giant mutated heart with black veins running through it, and there was blood on the ground near it. Whoa! Naruto gasped. Kurama, what do you think it is? I have no idea, the demon fox admitted, but I feel like it's alive. Naruto slowly approached it while whipping out a kunai for safety. As he approached, he noticed the black veins were pulsing and moving. When he reached out to touch it, to his surprise it went back to the red-crimson glow like before, along with the eerie shriek. Gah! Naruto groaned as he clutched his head in pain as the sound was driving his ears crazy. And if that wasn't enough, his nose started leaking blood, while his head was pounding like mad. What the hell's happening? He shouted in pain and was suddenly pushed back off his feet and crashed into the wall by an unknown force that came from the pulsating object. Naruto, you've got to get out of here now. Kurama ordered. You don't have to tell me twice. Naruto said as he started running back the way he came, following the trail of rope while he still held onto his head in pain. When he found the opening, he climbed up the rope and made it out before panting for air. What the hell was that all about? Naruto asked while rubbing the back of his head to ease his headache. I don't know, I've never felt anything like that before in my life, Kurama added, but Naruto, how do you feel? I feel like shit from that splitting headache, Naruto admitted as he tried whipping some of the blood from his nose off only to stain his own hand. I gotta get out of here. He tried to walk but felt weakened from the mental pain he experienced down in the hole and didn't even make one step before falling onto his back and laid unconsciously on the grass next to the hole. When morning came, Naruto woke up from the sun shining down on his face. He groaned while clutching his head almost as if he was experiencing a hangover while sitting straight up. What the hell am I doing out here? He groaned while whipping his hand across his nose and noticed dry blood. He suddenly looked at the hole and remembered everything. That's right. Kurama, are you okay? I'm fine, Naruto. What about you? I don't know, my head still hurts from last night. Did that thing in the hole do something to me? Other than give you a massive headache and nosebleed, I don't see any exterior injuries. I better go back and find out what that thing is. Naruto said, ready to go back in the hole until Kurama spoke. Wait. Do not be stupid, boy. After what that thing caused you down there, I don't think going back to it is such a good idea. Then what do you suggest I do? Naruto asked, open for suggestions. Bottle that hole up so no one else finds out what's down there. Call me crazy, but I got a feeling there's more to that thing than both you and I know. Naruto was thinking Kurama was crazy but knew he had no place to argue with a demon who existed since the dawn of existence with centuries of knowledge at his disposal, along with the fact he himself couldn't risk someone else finding that object and experiment on it. Alright, I'll close it off. Naruto drew a paper bomb wrapped kunai and tossed it in the hole, setting it off, causing the hole to cave in, blocking off the tunnels and all. Okay, it's done, and now I'm going back to town. He started walking but limped, still tired and exhausted from what happened. When he made it back to town, he went to his hotel room and plopped on the bed. I'm gonna catch me an hour of winks, don't wake me up. Naruto yawned. You spent a whole night sleeping in the woods, how much more do you need? Kurama asked rhetorically. I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer. He said, falling asleep. About an hour later, Naruto felt his brain responding to something, and when his eyes slowly opened, he saw several things in his room was floating in midair. Such things included a bowl of fruit, some coasters, scrolls, and his ninja kunai and shuriken. Whoa! Naruto gasped at the sight as everything suddenly fell to the ground with a thud or crash. What the hell was that? He cried. He looked around, seeing no sign of any enemies in the room, so it couldn't have been anyone else. Did I imagine it? He asked, but deep down felt he wasn't imagining it. I wouldn't be so sure, because I saw it too. Kurama replied. But how were they floating? I'm not sure, but while you were sleeping I felt your brain muscles were shifting. Brain muscles? Yes, you dolt. Just about every point in your body has muscle, and not just your arms, legs, or torso. Well, sorry, studying wasn't my specialty, Naruto replied as he got up and walked to his mini fridge, reaching out to open it, but suddenly opened on its own, making Naruto jump back. Automatic open? He asked. I don't think so, Kurama answered. Weird, Naruto said as he reached out to grab a beverage, only for the beverage to come flying into his hand, freaking him out even more. Okay, what the hell's going on here? Naruto, when you reached out to open the fridge, was your mind solely focused on the fridge itself? Of course it was. Naruto answered like he was being asked a stupid question. And for the drink, were you focusing on it alone? Yes, what is your point? Naruto asked in irritation. I have this feeling you were able to move those objects and your drink using only your mind. What, like I'm psychic? Naruto asked. That's exactly the point, and the method is called telekinesis. Try it again on something but focus only on that object. Naruto looked around and spotted the apple on the floor. He held his hand out like he was going to take the apple but moved his hand upward, and to his surprise the apple was following along with it as it was being lifted up by an invisible hand extending from Naruto's palm. Oh my god, I'm levitating an apple. He cheered while noticing he was doing nothing with his left hand. Wonder if both work. He held his other hand out, levitating an orange up. Both my arms can do this. I can't believe it. Naruto chuckled excitedly as he tried levitating more stuff up only to get a nosebleed. Oh god. Naruto stopped levitating the objects to cover his nose. He ran to the bathroom grabbing some tissue to dry the blood on his nose. What was that about? Clearly that nosebleed is a sign of overexerting your brain's limit. Kurama said. A limit? Naruto asked. Kurama sighed. You need to find a library. Huh? Naruto asked, but rather than continue to question, Kurama left the room and walked through town to find the nearest library, unaware of being spied upon by 5 Anbu ninja. There he is. Almost didn't notice him because of his hair color. One Anbu said. Remember Danzo-sama's orders, eliminate him and leave no trace. Another added. Shall we go now? A third asked. No too many people around, we'll wait until he's alone. A fourth replied. Still we have to monitor his movement. The fifth said as they started following while remaining hidden. Soon Naruto was at the library sitting at a table alone reading a book on the human body muscles and looked at the brain section. The average human is only capable of using 10% of their brain. He read to himself. And somehow that thing in the hole must have affected your brain, enabling you to access more of your brain power to an extent an average human can't use. Kurama added. According to the book, the brain can function like a muscle, as like all other muscles gets stronger over time and the more you use it. Yes, however, in a regular human's case the brain can only get better by increasing your knowledge and perception of things. And in your case, having more access to your brain can exercise it through the use of using it on smaller things and working your way up so you don't end up getting countless nosebleeds. But how strong do you think my brain can get? The human brain is unpredictable, I'm afraid, even to a demon like me. Kurama answered. Wonder if I should tell this to Ba-san or Ero-senin. No, I don't want them to start worrying more about me than they already are. Keeping it a secret, huh? So you think I should tell them? No way. If somehow word got out to Konoha you are learning telekinesis, the council may send assassins after you or try and use you against your will. True. Then it's decided I won't tell anyone from Konoha what happened to me in that hole. Now then, I think it's time I started testing my new ability out. Naruto thought as he stood up, returned the book, and left the library. Naruto was wandering the town's shopping district looking for something to try his power out on. He noticed a standing selling stuffed animals and a little girl was looking at a stuffed giraffe. Bingo! He said to himself with a smirk as he focused his gaze on a big stuffed teddy bear and used his mind to make it move, and having been made of stuffing and fluff, moving it was no trouble at all for his brain. He made the teddy bear float down to the little girl, making it wave its arms like it was going to attack the kid. The girl screamed in fright as she ran to her mom, who was talking to someone. Mommy! Mommy! That teddy's alive! She exclaimed as she and her mom looked, seeing the teddy bear lie on the floor lifeless as it should be. Sweetie, you're just imagining things. The woman told her kid. But I saw it, Mommy, I really saw it. The girl pleaded. Not now, honey. The woman replied. Naruto chuckled to himself at the stunt he pulled as Kurama spoke. You're enjoying this, aren't you? And you're not. Come on, if I had this kind of talent when I was an academy student, I would have been more of a prankster master than I've already made myself out to be. Naruto thought. And be hauled off to be experimented on if you did have that ability back then. Kurama reminded him. I guess, Naruto admitted as he looked around wondering what else he should test his power on. He then spotted a man managing a melon cart who was busy talking with another. Watch Kurama. He thought as he concentrated his eyes on the cart and made it move away from the cart owner. He moved it about a shop away until he felt his nose bleed and stopped moving it to clean his nose with tissue. He chuckled quietly as the melon shop owner saw his cart had gotten further away from him but saw no one around close enough to have moved it while he wasn't looking. Perhaps you should go elsewhere before you get spotted. Kurama suggested. Yeah, you're right. Naruto agreed as he walked off casually, still unaware of being watched. Did you happen to notice those phenomena happening around Uzumaki? One of the Anbu asked. Yes, our record showed he had no ability such as that. The second added. He must have learned to manipulate the air around him such as most wind elemental jutsu users are capable of. The third theorized. But to do that without using any hand signs. The fourth stated, catching their attention. Shall we inform Danzo-sama of this? The fifth suggested. Let's see where he goes before we report. The first said as they continued to follow him. Naruto went back to the clearing in the woods and started practicing his levitating ability on some small rocks, but when he tried using it on more medium-sized rocks he got a nosebleed. Don't overexert yourself so hastily, Naruto, or you'll die from blood loss. Kurama warned him. I know, man, exercising my brain power is harder than my regular exercises. Naruto thought back until a thought came to him. Wait a minute, I remember reading the Shadow Clone Jutsu allows training to go by faster with the more I use. They can train as much as they can and when dispelled the knowledge comes back to me. I wonder if they also train using the telekinesis, I'll get stronger at it faster. Maybe, and maybe you'll die faster if they all get monstrous nosebleeds at the exact same time. Kurama added. I'm just keeping my options open here, Kurama. Naruto replied until he froze, feeling he was about to be attacked. He spun around seeing some shuriken were about to nail him, but he used his telekinetic ability to repel them. Who's there? Show yourselves. Naruto called out as the ground around him rumbled as he shouted. Naruto, in that tree. Kurama ordered. Naruto looked, seeing the big tree Kurama had motioned him to look at. He summoned a dozen shadow clones, each drawing a kunai, and threw them in the direction of the tree, hearing them nail the bark of the tree. I missed. Naruto cursed. Well, they're coming in a frontal attack. Kurama thought. Naruto saw the Anbu ninja come at him from all sides. His natural instinct told him his best choice of defense was to use kawarimi, but on a new instinct instead crossed his arms in front of his body and forcibly spread them apart as the root Anbu were repelled from Naruto and forced back on all sides. Naruto got a bit of a nosebleed from that last move but ignored it and jumped onto a nearby boulder looking at his attackers. You aren't regular Anbu ninja. They only serve Tsunade Ba-san and she'd never order them to attack me. Naruto declared. Very perceptive. The third Anbu said as the group got up. We are Anbu of the Root faction under orders of Danzo-sama to eliminate you, Uzumaki Naruto, for the sake of Konoha and the ninja land. The first explained. Naruto's eyes twitched upon that name. So getting me banished wasn't enough, he sent you to kill me. He growled with his telekinetic power responding to his anger, making the rock he was standing on crack a little. You are a danger to the ninja land, and therefore must be put out of your misery. The second Anbu replied. Naruto frowned as his eyes were turning red and his whiskers marks were becoming darker. He extended his arms out and put them together, which caused the Anbu group to come together, stuck like they were magnetized to each other. How about I put you all out of your miseries instead? Naruto asked as he was clenching his fists, still holding the group together, who started to cry in pain as they felt their bodies were being crushed inside and out. As Naruto continued torturing them using his telekinetic ability, his nose started to bleed but didn't stop to clean it as he finally motioned his wrists like he was twisting something and heard the necks of the Anbu snap. Naruto, overexerting his telekinetic ability and from blood loss, fainted, releasing his grip on the now dead Anbu. Inside Naruto's subconscious, the boy laid before Kurama's cage on his back unconsciously as the fox looked down on him. I warned him about overexerting himself, but does he listen? No, he sighed. that power of his seems more trouble than it was worth for himself and those around him unless he learns to control his emotions. Suddenly Kurama saw a glow come from the seal on his cage that took the form of two glowing apparitions. One had a yellow glow on his head and appeared to be wearing a long coat, and the second appeared to have a long red glow going down the back. "What, you two?" Kurama gasped. The apparition stood before Naruto and bent over with a hand from each laying on the boy's cheeks. Naruto twitched from the touch as his eyes opened halfway, seeing two hazy apparitions before him, but noticed the yellow and red glow from them each. "Who's there? Wait a minute, are you two?" He was cut off as his vision cleared as he noticed he was awake with a doctor and a nurse looking down on him. "Finally awake?" the doctor asked. "What?" Naruto's eyes blinked as he shot up, but the nurse gently held him back a bit. "Easy there, you don't want to overdo it," she insisted. "What happened? How did I get here?" Naruto asked, looking around his hospital room. "Some campers found you passed out in the woods outside town. Your nose was covered in your own blood," the doctor explained. Naruto thought, remembering all that happened, and asked, "Was anybody else with me?" "Actually, 5 Anbu guards were found dead near you." "What happened out there?" the nurse asked. Naruto had to think fast, so he told them a quick lie. "Actually, I don't remember much. They appeared before me and told me to get down, and in a flash I blacked out. They must have been after something or someone." "Logical, but how come they were dead and only you were passed out with a bloody nose?" the doctor asked curiously. "Just lucky, I guess," Naruto answered, making things up as he went along. "Definitely lucky. Whoever attacked those Anbu really wrung their necks," the doctor said as Naruto still remembered what happened. "Well, you just rest easy now and we'll be right back," the nurse said as the two left. Naruto was then alone and could communicate with Kurama in peace. "Kurama, did I really?" "Yes, Naruto, you did. You killed those root Anbu using your power, though it was more dangerous for you having been using it while you were in a state of anger. Hey, can you blame me when they told me why they were ready to try and assassinate me?" "Actually, I can." "What?" Naruto asked in shock that his own demon wasn't siding with him. "That old geezer Danzo was right about one thing with you, Naruto. You are unable to control your emotions." Naruto wanted to argue back, but knew if he continued arguing back from easy agitation it would only prove Kurama's and Danzo's point. "So what can I do?" "You can start by not letting your emotions get the better of you." "You mean to stop feeling anything?" Naruto asked in outrage. "I'm not asking you to suppress your emotions like that Zabuza was able to, only to better control your emotions, specifically your anger," the fox explained, "because if you act out of anger in the same way you did against those Anbu around innocent lives, your power will put anyone who comes near you in danger." Naruto thought about this and realized it was true. He did let his anger get the better of him in more ways than one, from when he thought Sasuke died at the hands of Haku, when Neji belittled him in the Chunin exam finals, to even the petty irritation of when Sasuke was always treated better during the academy years. "You're right, Kurama. This power of mine is dangerous," he began, "and if I'm not careful it could cause harm to the innocent, especially if I use it out of anger. If I'm gonna use it, I'll need to be in better control with it and with my emotions." "You're starting to see reason. What an enormous step for you." Kurama gave a sarcastic cheer. "Okay, don't start mocking me now," Naruto replied. "Sorry, but you know there's a problem now. When Danzo eventually finds out his Anbu have been murdered, he'll start sending more to kill you." Kurama reminded him. "I should tell Ba-san, but would that make a difference since there's no way we can trace this back to Danzo for her? He'll be sure to have alibi. If you did tell her, you'd have to come up with another lie about how they died, and knowing how keen she is, she'd see right through your lies. Yeah, she'd probably send some of her own Anbu to keep tabs on me, and I'll really feel like I'm being watched." Naruto added. "So what'll you do?" "I'll keep it in the dark from her for now, but if it gets too dangerous for me, I'll let her know." And who knows if I continue to get my mind stronger so I can use my telekinesis without overexerting myself, I could take on as many Root Anbu Danzo sends after me. Don't get ahead of yourself, after all there are bigger problems out there you should be weary of, or did you forget the people your perverted sensei warned you about? The Akatsuki organization, Naruto recalled. Yes, you remember the two you ran into that time. Itachi Uchiha practically destroyed his brother's mind using his Mangekyo ability, and Kisame Hoshigaki cut your chakra in half with his sword that devoured it. Do you think you'd stand a chance against them, or more of them, even with your power? Kurama continued to question him. Obviously not, and Ero Sennin would want me to train to protect myself from him even if he wasn't there with me. Alright then, I'll just get stronger for both our sakes, for if they remove you I could very well go down with you. Then I suggest you hightailing it out of this town before Danzo gets word of his Anbu dead. Kurama suggested. Right, but before I leave, I'm gonna need a cloak. Soon enough Naruto left the hospital and headed back to the hotel to collect his things. After checking out he went and purchased a brown cloak and headed to the edge of town wearing it with the hood up. Well Kurama, from this point on I have to learn how to control this power of mine for both our sakes. I don't know what other dangers will cross our paths, but we'll face them together. Don't go getting all nostalgia on me Naruto, please. Kurama replied. Afraid of being sentimental? Naruto teased. Shut up. Naruto chuckled as he started walking down the path leaving town, as he thought to himself, those two people I saw before me. I know it had to be them, but how? A week had passed since Naruto left that one town, determined to harness his newfound power as best as he possibly could. During the course of that week he continued to hone his psychic power and his ninja skills. Thanks to the jutsu formulas from Jiraiya he started training in all 5 elements, but the element he excelled in was wind jutsu due to the fact he learned he had the wind element thanks to the chakra paper that was included in the scroll. And to top it off, from the scroll he learned the formula for his dad's Hiraishin technique, which would allow him to teleport to any destination he marked with his formula. In terms of his psychic power he continued practicing with it to improve his control. And time to time he would use it for a joke or two that wasn't dangerous. Currently Naruto was by a stream doing push-ups with 10 clones joining him, so he's get more effort into his exercise, and 200. Naruto announced as he finished his go, followed by his clones. Alright boys, take 5. He ordered his clones, that dispelled transferring all their effort back to him. Naruto toweled off and used his power to bring a bottle of water over to him and he drank it. Another successful workout. He stretched his arms. And to think you've been at it for only a week. Kurama replied. I thank the true purpose of the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto replied. Everything they learn or whatever effort they put into training comes right back to me when they dispel. And considering how much chakra it requires along with stamina to make one shadow clone, not many can produce the amount of clones you're capable of creating unless they want to drain their chakra in one go. Exactly. Naruto said as he finished his water. You know Kurama, there's something I've been wondering about my power. What about it? I know I have power to use it to move things from one place to another, but do you think it's possible I can use it on myself? On yourself? Yeah. Just hear me out. What if I can use my power over levitation to float myself from one place to another? In other words, fly. Kurama caught on. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. But granted we don't know the full capabilities that object, granted you, I suppose it could be possible. Then let's put it to a test. Naruto got back up and stood in the open space by the hill. Just have to concentrate on myself. Naruto concentrated as some of the pebbles down by his feet were slowly levitating up from his brain power. When Naruto made a takeoff attempt he hovered for a second before losing control. Oh shit. He fell flat on his face. Ow. Real good eating dirt Naruto. Kurama said sarcastically. Oh shut up. Naruto grumbled as he got back up. Another try. He concentrated and started levitating up until he was off the ground and was levitating up till he reached the tree's height. Naruto, you're actually doing it. Kurama gasped. I know, I'm flying. Naruto chuckled as he put his arms on the back of his head, relaxing as he floated around the tree. Oh, this is so cool. I know some wind ninja like Temari could know how this feels, but I'm not even using chakra to do this. Hey, I wonder if I can go any higher than this. Whoa, Naruto, let's not be hasty. Kurama injected. If you went up too high and your power suddenly gave out, you could fall to your death. I could just summon the chief toad so he could catch me. Naruto replied. Wishful thinking. However, do you really think Gamabunta would be thrilled if you summoned him just so he could break your fall? Kurama countered. Naruto realized since Bunta was a grouchy type when it came to be summoned for petty reasons, wouldn't be pleased. Yeah, he wouldn't take it so kindly. But still, the idea of flying through the sky past the clouds sounds cool. To a point maybe, but let me tell you kid, flying too high could be one's undoing. Yeah, how do you figure? Naruto asked curiously. You ever hear of the tale of Icarus? No, who's that? It's the tale of a boy who sought freedom by flying using wings his father created of wax and feathers. The boy ignored the warnings of not to fly too close to the sun, and because he did, the wax melted and his wings were destroyed, causing him to fall into the sea where he drowned. I see, but Icarus didn't have psychic power. Naruto replied, and Kurama sighed. The point I am trying to make here, boy, is that when one tries to aim too high using a cocky attitude, they'll crash and burn harder when they fall down. I see your point. Well, I won't be cocky when using it then, nor will I fly into the sun. Naruto answered. Kurama sighed, hoping he really meant that. Well, I better get a move on. I shouldn't stay in one place for so long, especially out in the open like this. He flew downward but couldn't pull up fast enough and crashed on his face. That sucked. Meanwhile, in Konoha, in the Root's underground lair, Danzo stood before one of his men. What? My Root ninja were killed. I'm afraid, said Danzo-sama. All 5 of them had their necks wrung. The ninja explained. How did this happen? Danzo's one eye squinted. We're not quite sure, but do you perhaps think it was Uzumaki? Preposterous. That Kyuubi brat wouldn't have had the strength to fight my Anbu, nor would he have been fast enough to call on the demon's power before they could attack. Danzo interrupted skeptically. What do we do now? The Anbu asked. Send another 5 to follow the trail from the town Naruto was last seen, and fan out from there. He must be eliminated for the ninja land sake. Danzo ordered. Yes, sir. The Anbu left his superior. Danzo thought, I do not know how you were able to avoid my Anbu Kyuubi brat, but I will find you and eliminate you. Back with said boy, he was flying through the sky past the clouds, cheering and hollering, oh yeah. He cheered, this is a lot easier than I thought. He did some flips and loops, I may never walk again. I wouldn't recommend that, Naruto. If you stop exercising your legs, they'll become so shot you won't be able to stand at all. Kurama voiced his opinion. Just a thought, Kurama. Naruto replied, because I'm so excited. How many ninja out there can actually fly in the sky to his altitude? In Iowa, and tiny old man sitting at his desk sneezed. Do you require cold medicine, Tsuchikage-sama? A guard asked. I don't need no medicine because I don't have a cold. The old fence sitter bellowed until his back cracked, but I could use some ointment for my back. He groaned in pain. At once, the guard left the old man. Back with Naruto, he was flying through a cloud, passing a flock of seagulls, making one of the seagulls squawk in shock, seeing a human flying right alongside it. Naruto, noticing that, waved. Hi there, first time flyer. He said before gliding downward a bit and did some twirls. You know the best part of this, Kurama. If I fly this high up and at this speed, none of Danzo's Anbu will be able to stay on my tail. Naruto said as he continued picking up speed just for fun. Whatever you say. As Naruto continued flying closer so he could see the land, spotted another town up ahead. I should probably stop and restock on supplies and food. He was going down further until he heard a scream. Oh, could be trouble. He flew downward to the forest outside the nearby village and hid in a tree, looking until he spotted something. A young girl about Naruto's age was tied to a tree and surrounded by 3 enemy ninja with one standing before her. The girl had dark green eyes, a widow's peak, mid-back length dark blonde hair, and a very sizable bust. She wore a light violet and white top, black shorts, a black skirt, black high boots and light violet wristbands. The ninja surrounding her bore aim headbands while the lead one had green hair and an umbrella on his back. Whoa, that girl looks hot. Wait, she's also in trouble, Naruto said to himself until he focused on the leading aim ninja and gasped, wait a minute, I've seen that face before in the bingo book. His name is Aoi Rokusho, a Jonin level Nukenin from Konoha. Tricked another Konoha ninja into stealing the Nadaime Hokage's Raijin sword for him and fled the village. Naruto recalled. Naruto, are you about to do what I think you're about to do? Kurama asked. If you think I'm about to save that girl, then you're right. And why? You don't know that girl. Yeah, maybe I don't, but she doesn't deserve to be killed by slime like that. Naruto motioned to Aoi. Kurama sighed, seeing there was no stopping him, answered, do what ya gotta do. And I will. Naruto pulled his cloak's hood up to keep his face covered. Back with the girl, she was nervous as the ninja Aoi pulled out a sword hilt that suddenly charged up with lightning chakra. Normally I kill a witness, but seeing as how you came with 2 Kiri shinobi, I can make use of you by ransoming you. You'll pay for this. The girl frowned. No, you stupid girl, your comrades will pay me for your safety. Aoi snickered. Naruto was hiding behind a tree but peeked around and saw a stick by the back of the 2 other aim ninjas. Extending his second and third right hand fingers at the stick, he levitated it up a bit and moved it forward, poking one of them in the with it. The ninja turned around but saw no one as Naruto quickly hit again. The ninja turned around as Naruto levitated the stick again and poked the other ninja, who turned around seeing nothing like the first one did. Okay, now it's time for part 2, luring them here. He thought as he used his powers to make some leaves swirl like a small cyclone, like it was the Shunshin ability, making it look like somebody was ready to appear. The 2 other ninja, hearing the leaves, looked back, seeing the cyclone. Hey boss. One of the ninjas spoke to Aoi. What is it? Aoi asked, irritated by his subordinate's interruption on interrogating the girl. I think something's here, the ninja said. Then go deal with it, Aoi ordered. The 2 aim ninja nodded as they crept to where the leaf cyclone was drawing their umbrella weapons. As they got close to the little leaf cyclone, the leaves suddenly fell. What was that about? One asked his partner. No clue, he replied as they looked around behind the tree and saw nothing, much to their confusion. Suddenly they screamed as they were suddenly lifted up off the ground by nothing and into the tree. Hearing them scream, Aoi spun around, seeing his boys were gone. Guys. He held the Raijin sword ready for anything, and suddenly the leaves on the ground started swirling around him. Getting on defense, he swung the lightning weapon, slicing any leaves around him, but they were so small he couldn't slice all of them, and they started piling onto his body and getting into his face. Get off. He spat up some leaves while using his free hand to try and rip some off him, but more just stuck to him. The girl watched in shock, wondering what could be doing this, until she heard something, pissed. She looked back as much as she could, seeing Naruto putting a finger to his lips, motioning her to keep quiet. She did so as Naruto started cutting her free. When she was freed, she ran around hiding behind Naruto, feeling much safer behind the one who freed her. Aoi suddenly saw his captive free through the bits of leaves that weren't covering his eyes. Hey. Don't you know it's not nice to pick on girls? Naruto asked. What the hell did you do to my men? Aoi demanded. See for yourself, Naruto said as Aoi turned, seeing a shadow clone of Naruto levitated down his subordinates who were tied up and knocked out. Who are you? Aoi growled. Let's just say I'm a Nukenin's predator. Naruto smirked under his hood. Don't talk shit with me, boy, unless you wanna die. Aoi stood, aiming the Raijin sword at Naruto. That doesn't belong to you, Naruto said, motioning to the sword. And how would you know? Aoi questioned him. Because that's the Nadaime Hokage's Raijin sword. And I'd like you to give it to me. Naruto held his hand out, expecting to get it. How about I give you a taste of its power? Aoi offered as he ran for Naruto, aiming to stab him, but suddenly froze and was being lifted into the air. Hey, what the hell? He noticed the shadow clone held his hand out and was using telekinesis to levitate him up. If you don't mind, I will be taking that. The real Naruto extended his hand up and used his power to pull the Raging Sword from Aoi's hand as it landed in Naruto's hand. Yoink. Give me that, Aoi demanded. How about I give you a little of this? Naruto extended his hand using his force, pushing Aoi backwards through the air as he crashed headfirst into the tree hard enough to knock him unconscious. With that, the clone tied Aoi with his two men and dispelled with the real one looking at the girl. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine, she admitted in awe at what just happened. What was with these three and you anyway? I'm traveling with some allies of mine. We were on a mission to gather intel. I was supposed to have met back up with them 10 minutes ago until Aoi and his goons jumped me, she explained. I tried fighting back as hard as I could, but they were too much for me. Well, you're just lucky I showed up when I did, the boy replied. I am. By the way, what's your name? She asked. It's common courtesy to introduce yourself first, at least that's what I've been told. Naruto replied, remembering Sasuke used it before on Neji when they first met at the beginning of the Chunin exams. Well, alright, my name's Hotaru, and you? Naruto smirked under his hood and answered, Naruto, it's very nice to meet you, Hotaru. He shook her hand, making her blush. Hotaru, a voice called. The two looked, seeing two ninja wearing Kiri headbands drop in. One was an adult wearing an eye patch, and the second was a boy Naruto's age with blue hair and carried a sword with two handles wrapped in cloth, which made Naruto think of Kisame not just from the headband alone, but from the sword wrapped in cloth. Are you okay? The boy asked as the two spotted Naruto. Who's this? The man asked, noticing the hilt in his hand, thinking he was going to attack. Did he try to hurt you? He asked, ready to strike, while Naruto was prepared to defend himself, only for Hotaru to shield her rescuer. Ow, stop, he didn't do anything. The man named Ow stood down, not wanting to hurt Hotaru in the process. What do you mean, Hotaru? The blue-haired boy asked. Chojuro, this boy saved me from these three shinobi. Hotaru motioned to Aoi and his boys tied up. The two looked at Naruto, who nodded, and they stood down. We're sorry for suspecting you, Ao began. Hotaru is still training in the art of ninja. Her master requested we take her on this mission, hoping it would improve her ninja senses. What it really is was an excuse to get rid of me. Hotaru crossed her arms under her well-developed chest, making Naruto blush. He was thankful his hood was covering enough of his face so they wouldn't notice. I believe introductions are in order, Naruto asked. Hotaru realized. Oh yes, of course. Naruto, this is Ao and Chojuro. Guys, this is Naruto. Nice to meet you too. Naruto bowed his head. Likewise. Chojuro bowed his head. I will bow my head once you remove your hood. After all, it's hard to trust someone whose face you cannot see. Ao said, on guard. Naruto, hearing that, debated on whether or not to, but he didn't want to go and start making enemies again by being non-cooperative. Very well. He removed his hood and Hotaru blushed at the sight of the handsome guy who just rescued her. That scarlet red hair, those ocean blue eyes, those whisker marks. Kawaii. The busty girl thought. Sorry to sound doubtful, but how did one boy like yourself take on these three AIM ninja without getting an injury? Ao questioned him. They couldn't touch me, Naruto answered. What? Chojuro asked. You should have seen him. He stopped their leader in mid-air and forced him to crash into the tree. Hotaru explained. Mid-air? Ao asked, hoping Hotaru wasn't talking nonsense while looking at Naruto, wanting an answer. Let's just say I'm very skilled at wind manipulating, Naruto explained. What village are you associated with? Ao asked cautiously. None. None, Chojuro asked. Yup. I'm a traveling ninja. I have no specific loyalties to any village or nation leader, he explained. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to turn these three into the nearest bounty office and collect some fee. Naruto motioned to the three AIM ninja. Of course, though Naruto, if you can, I'd like to make a request of you. Ao said. A request? Naruto asked. Ao nodded. When you turn them in and collect your fee, would you please come back with us to Kiri to meet our Mizukage? Naruto was taken aback. See your village leader, and for what reason? He crossed his arms. Just so she could properly thank you for helping Hotaru, she does value all her devoted ninja. Ao explained. I see, Naruto answered and thought, Kurama, should I go along with them? You probably should, unless you want to dishonor these two shinobi's act of standing down rather than attack you. Hell, you can fly off if they gang up on you anyway. Kurama replied. Right, he spoke, all right then I'll join you. Then let us show you to the nearest bounty office. Chojuro offered. Arigato, Naruto said as the four walked with Hotaru walking closest to Naruto, making him blush. Man, this girl's cute, I wonder if she's single. Kid, you know it'd be hard for you to maintain a relationship seeing as how you are a banished ninja and are wandering to stay alive. Just a thought, Kurama. Naruto chuckled. In the nearest town, Naruto dropped Aoi and his two goons off at the nearest bounty office and collected his fee. I sure made a bundle off these three. If I knew bounty hunting was this profitable, I would have trained solely for this purpose in my ninja life, he said to himself. Hey, maybe the Akatsuki members have bigger bounties than this. Don't get ahead of yourself, Naruto. After all, compared to the Akatsuki members, Aoi was just a small helping, as you've seen from both Itachi and Kisame. Kurama thought. I know, Naruto replied as he left the office with Ao, Chojuro, and Hotaru waiting for him. Alright, I'm done, take me to your Mizukage. Follow us, Ao instructed as they headed for the docks and caught a boat ride bound for Kiri. That night, as the boat was slowly crossing the waters, Naruto was using his power to levitate some coins in his palm. How can you really do that? Chojuro asked, approaching with Hotaru. I told you I'm a wind manipulator. Naruto replied. But you haven't done any hand signs or anything. Chojuro noticed. I'm a very special case, so I don't have to use hand signs. Believe me, I've seen my fair share of ninjas with unique abilities ranging from natural to bloodline. Naruto explained, remembering Haku. Well, you got me there. Chojuro admitted. By the way, Chojuro, what's with that thing you got wrapped on your back? Naruto noticed. Oh, this. Well, this is my sword Haramakare. I was given this when I was selected to become a new member of the Seven Swordsmen. Naruto's eyes widened hearing that title. Did you say Seven Swordsmen? Yeah. Why, it's that a problem for you? Chojuro asked. Oh no, not at all. It's just I ran into someone months ago who came from the same team. Naruto explained. What? Who? Just about every member of the original Seven Swordsmen disbanded years ago for, Chojuro began, but Naruto finished. A failed assassination of a feudal lord. Yeah, that's what I heard. You know of a tall guy named Zabuza? Zabuza Momochi. You met him? The blue-haired boy gasped. Oh yeah, and I honestly wish I could say I fought him, but I didn't. Instead, I fought a partner of his who utilized a bloodline ability known as Hyouden. Whoa, Naruto, what was it like standing in the presence of the demon of the Kiri? Well, I felt the area around me go cold along with mist coming with him. And that giant sword of his was too good to be real, but you know, for the demon of Kiri he wasn't a total heartless. What do you mean? Hotaru asked while Chojuro was confused. He may have the reputation as a cold-hearted killer, but deep down he had honor and love for his partner. Naruto answered as he had a flashback to the battle on the bridge in Wave months ago. Zabuza turned to Naruto after realizing Haku never did kill Sasuke Uchiha with his Senbon. Hey kid, Naruto looked at Zabuza, seeing tears in his eyes. Your words cut deep, deeper than any blade. All that stuff I said about Haku being nothing more than my tool and weapon, I lied. I did care about him, I loved him like he was my own son. I thank you for helping me remember that, and to make up for what I've done. I'm going to help you. Zabuza used what energy he had to pull the bandage off his mouth. Can ya spare a weapon? Naruto smiled, throwing a kunai to him. Take it. Zabuza caught it in his mouth. Arigato. He took off running at the mob. The mercenaries threw whatever weapons they had at Zabuza, piercing him, but the demon of the mist still ran, using Naruto's kunai to assassinate the mercenaries. After a majority of the mercenaries were killed, the remaining few fled the scene, not wanting to return ever again. Zabuza, with no energy left, fell on his back. He grunts in pain. Guess this is the end for me. Zabuza, Kakashi said as Squad 7 and Tazuna gather around. Zabuza looked up to Naruto. Kid, what's your name? My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto answered. Naruto, I thank you for helping me see the light. Zabuza said. Kakashi, I have one request for you. Set me next to Haku, if I'm going to die here and now. I'd want it to be next to him. Yes, Zabuza. Kakashi carried Zabuza's body, setting him down next to Haku, where the swordsman looked at the side to Haku's lifeless face. You were always at my side, the least I can do is to be beside you at the end. I know it cannot be, but I wish I could go to where you have gone. How I wish I could join you there, Haku. Zabuza said before his eyes closed, signaling his death. Naruto was brought out of his flashback and looked to them. Even if you're trained to become a pure killer, even some will always have a small piece of emotion within them. After all, we're all human, aren't we? You're absolutely right. Hotaru agreed. Chojuro yawned. Well, I'm going to bed now. I'll catch you all in the morning. He went inside the ship's cabin. Naruto continued sitting down, looking out into the sea as Hotaru sat next to him. Naruto. I want to know, where did you come from? Naruto was surprised she'd ask him something personal like that, but felt hesitant to answer given his past. Should I tell her, or will she just treat me like everyone else? Maybe I'll take my chances, and if she doesn't take it kindly, I can just fly off. Well, Hotaru, the village I previously came from wasn't exactly a place I was proud to call my home. How come? Well, I was born an orphan. I didn't know my mother or my father. Growing up wasn't even what you'd call a happy life. For reasons I never did understand, the villagers treated me like shit. Every day I'd receive beatings from villagers, charged for expired foods, even had my own apartment ransacked. Whenever I asked someone why I'm treated so poorly, they'd just say I killed millions of innocent lives and caused people nothing but pain. Naruto explained while clenching his fist. Hotaru gasped at this and spoke. Why would so many say something like that? You don't look like you would harm anyone innocent. Yeah, I thought they knew something I didn't know, and it turns out they did, but they let their own emotions and rage blind them to what I really was. Really were. Hotaru was confused. The truth is, Hotaru, I'm a Jinchuriki. A Jinchuriki? Hotaru gasped. So you've heard of them, have you? I have. In fact, my master is one. He is. Naruto was taken aback. Yes, now I understand what you mean. My master said he was casted out, looked down upon, treated like he was a monster just because he had one sealed inside him, the girl explained. Truth is, there are still some who treat him that way, but he no longer lets them get to him. He only gets stronger so that he can protect himself and anyone he cares about, such as me. I see. So what else? Hotaru asked. Well, during my time in the village I formed a rivalry with another boy. He was Mr. Popular due to the reputation of his clan. Every girl at the ninja academy wanted him, and boys were envious of him. But me, all I wanted to do was surpass him. I thought he was my friend, seeing as how both of us were what made each other work harder to get stronger. But that was all a lie, Naruto said as his eyes tightened. He was just a blind fool obsessed with revenge for the massacre of his family. He attempted to go nuke Nin so he could get stronger from another nuke Nin. I was sent to stop him and bring him back. And when I did, the council banished me for nearly killing him. What? Hotaru gasped. How can they do that? They're the council, and that means they think they're so superior they can do whatever they want and how they want it, Naruto explained, so they used that as an excuse to banish me. Naruto then found himself pulled into a hug by Hotaru and blushed, feeling the side of his head pressed into the girl's soft mounds while hearing her whimper, I'm so sorry. For what? Naruto asked, confused. For making you remember such a horrid life. You were wrongfully treated for something you had no control over. You didn't deserve to be treated like a plague. I'm so sorry. She hugged his head tighter, making him blush. Whoa, these things are soft. No wonder Ero Sennin has a fascination for them, he thought, but snapped out of it before Hotaru noticed he was enjoying the feeling too much. He got out of her hug and looked at her. Thanks, Hotaru, but I'm okay really. In fact, being banished was about the greatest thing that ever happened to me. It's given me a chance to start a new life and such. Isn't there anybody you miss in your village? The girl asked. Yes, quite a lot of people, and they all treated me like a person. But not even them could keep me from getting banished. But I'll always remember them, because the greatest friends are the ones you'll never forget. Hotaru smiled and leaned her head into his shoulder. I couldn't agree more with you, Naruto. Soon the two had fallen asleep and Ao popped out from the ship's cabin and saw Naruto and Hotaru sitting against one of the masts with Hotaru leaning her head into Naruto's shoulder. The man smiled at how peaceful they looked before grabbing a spare blanket and covered them up. Mai-sama would love to see this, he said as he went back to the cabin to sleep. When morning came, Naruto and Hotaru woke up and noticed they entered a blanket of fog. Hey, what's going on? Naruto asked as he got up. Hotaru stood up. We made it. Made it? Naruto asked. Yes. Welcome to Kiri, Naruto. Ao said as he and Chojuro approached. Naruto looked and saw a village coming into clear. Wow, so this is really Kiri. It certainly lives up to its reputation as a village hidden in mist, he said, almost unable to see anything. That's the way the climate is around our village every year, Ao explained. Soon after the boat docked, the three ninja led Naruto through the village heading for the administration building. They walked through a hall before stopping before a room where Ao knocked on the door and a female voice answered from the other side, come in. Ao opened the door, showing Naruto in, where he looked over and seated at a desk was a slender woman in her early 30s. She had ankle-length, auburn hair styled into a herringbone pattern at the back, a top knot tied with a dark blue band, and with 4 bangs at the front. 2 bangs are short, with one covering her right eye, and 2 are long, crossing each other on her ample chest, just below her chin. Her eyes were light green, had dark blue polish on her fingers and toes, and had dark blue lipstick on. She wore a long-sleeved dark blue dress that falls just below the knees, was closed at the front with a zip, and is kept open on the front right side from the waist down. The dress only covered up to the upper part of her arms and the underside of her. Underneath, she wore a mesh shirt that covered more of her upper body than her dress, but stopped short of covering her shoulders and still leaves a sizable cleavage. She also wore shorts in the same color as her dress, and underneath those were mesh leggings reaching down over her knees. Around her waist, she wore a belt with a pouch attached to the back on the left, high-heeled sandals and shin guards reaching up over her knees. Naruto looked lost for words, staring at the beautiful woman that was before him. Did Tsunade Basen have a sister and never told me? Naruto thought to himself. Mai-sama, Chojuro and I have returned from our reconnaissance mission, Ao explained to the woman. Good work to all 3 of you, the woman answered as Ao continued. Though we did run into a bit of trouble, mainly Hotaru, he muttered under his breath while Hotaru scowled. I see. The woman crossed her arms. Hotaru was attacked by 3 ninja from AIM until our friend here helped her, Chojuro explained, revealing Naruto. Mai, upon seeing their guest, blushed. Oh my, she walked over to him. And who is this piece of handsome? She smiled, making Naruto blush, but he had to keep cool. Naruto Mizukage-sama. Naruto sweat with excitement. Naruto. What a beautiful name, she said, making him laugh nervously. Ahem. Naruto, I present to you the Godime Mizukage of Kiri Mai Terumi. Ao introduced him. An honor, ma'am. Naruto bowed his head. No need to be formal now, but how did you manage to help Hotaru against 3 ninja? She asked. Chojuro answered. Apparently he has some kind of special wind manipulating power that enabled him to defeat them before they could land a blow on him. Mei looked curious about this and turned to Hotaru. Is this true? Yes. I didn't believe it until I saw it with my own eyes, Mei-sama. She answered. Mei turned to Naruto. For what reason did you decide to help Hotaru? For one thing, I could tell she wouldn't have stood a chance against the three who cornered her, and second, it's because I felt like it. What village do you come from? Mei continued questioning. None. I'm a traveling ninja with no specific loyalties to any village or nation leader. Naruto answered. Well, every ninja had to start somewhere, or are you a nuke nin yourself? Mei questioned suspiciously. No, I'm a banished ninja. Banished? Mei asked until the door opened and entering was a tall, thin young man with pale golden eyes and brown hair that reached to his shoulders. His side parting let a large portion of his bangs cover the left side of his face. He wore a long, light blue kimono adorned with a small emblem of 3 bubbles on the back, and a pair of black pants underneath, with an orange sash. The kimono hung loose, exposing his chest. In it was a bamboo jug and a pipe. Oh, sorry to intrude, Mizukage-sama. I didn't know you were having a meeting. The man said until Hotaru spoke. Utakata-sama. Oh, Hotaru, you're back. I didn't expect you back for another few days. He replied. You'd wish. She replied. Naruto looked at the man who noticed him as well. The two gazed at each other as if they were looking deeper beyond what was in front of him. This guy, the first, feel it within him. Kurama, is he another one? Yes, Naruto. The chakra radiating off him can only be from Seiken the Rokubi. Utakata was thinking. Seiken, is this boy also like me? Yes, Utakata, I feel it in his chakra. He is the one who controls Kurama the Kyubi. A demonic voice thought back. I see. Just in time, Mei said. Utakata, I'd like you to meet our guest Naruto. Naruto, this is Utakata, Hotaru's master. Naruto approached him extending his hand. Nice to meet ya. Likewise. Utakata shook his hand. Chojuro and Ao, would you two mind leaving for now while I have a word with these three? Mei requested. Of course, Mizukage-sama. Chojuro replied. But if you want, my lady, I could wait outside. And Ao began only to come face to face with Mei, who was giving him a sweet smile while deeply Ao could sense malice vibes. I said you are dismissed, Ao. Ao started sweating bullets, nodded. Yes, milady. He said and left the room with Chojuro. Naruto thought, wow, she can be scary like Ba-san. With only Mei, Naruto, Hotaru, and Utakata in the room, Mei spoke. Now then, for starters, Naruto, your last name wouldn't happen to be Uzumaki, would it? Naruto was surprised. How does she know my last name? Kurama, what do I do? What you always do. What comes natural? Well, as a matter of fact, yes. He admitted. Mei smiled. I should have figured as much. But how do you know that last name? Naruto asked, confused. Because I was once friends with an Uzumaki. Her name was Kushina. The Mizukage answered, making Naruto more surprised. You knew my mom. Hotaru and Utakata turned to Naruto, surprised at his shock. Mom? They asked. Mei looked serious and relieved. So it's true, Kushina did have a child named Naruto. I'm lost here. How do you know my mom? Naruto asked, wanting answers. Well, Naruto, Kushina and I were close when we were children. You might even say we were like sisters. Mei explained. But how can that be? Mom came from Uzushio. And we originally had ties with Uzushio. Mei continued. In fact, my father was made a representative of here and would take me along with him to Uzushio, where I'd play with Kushina. Boy, was she a mischievous one, always getting into trouble. But deep down she was a caring person. That I can believe, Naruto admitted. But years ago Kushina was brought to Konoha when Uzushio was destroyed. I had wanted to visit her and her new lover Minato Namikaze, but during the reign of our Yondaime Mizukage Yagura, who ended our ties with any village there was, hence I hadn't seen Kushina since then, only through letters. In fact, I received a letter about what happened to her and Minato 13 years ago and that their child was alive. That was you, Naruto. Mei explained. Minato Namikaze? Utakata asked. But that's the late Yondaime Hokage of Konoha. Naruto's the child of a Hokage. Hotaru gasped. Yes, it's true Konoha was my former home. Naruto answered. Former home? Mei asked. Yes, I'm banished. Naruto explained. Banished, but why? Sit down and I'll explain everything. Naruto began as he told the three the full story about his birth, upbringing, the Ninja Academy, Squad 7, all the way up to Naruto's banishment, leaving out about the object he found underground, and that's it. I don't believe it. Hotaru gasped, seeing everything clearer since she also heard about the Uchiha massacre. I can't believe the council would favor someone willing to go traitor over you. Mei was outraged. That's the way the council is, they hate Jinchuriki or anyone that's not of their village. Naruto explained. I know exactly how you feel, Naruto. Utakata said. Yes, Hotaru did say her master was also a Jinchuriki. You hold the Rokubi, right? I do, just as you hold the Kyubi, correct? That's right, so I suppose you had the same life as I did? Naruto asked. More or less. Utakata answered. Then perhaps it's best if our tenants met again. Naruto said, extending his hand. Utakata, not sure how this would work, took Naruto's hand and suddenly they found themselves in a conjoint plane with Kurama behind Naruto and a giant slug with 6 tails behind Utakata. Whoa, so that's the Kyubi, or Kurama. Utakata said. Correct. Well, Saiken, you're looking very well for a slug. Kurama joked. Right back at you, Kurama. Once again you're transferred to another Uzumaki, huh? The slug asked. Well, my last 2 have been women, so it's nice to have a male host this time. Kurama replied. Naruto, have you met any other Jinchuriki besides me? Utakata asked. Actually, I have. His name's Gaara and he lives in Suna. Naruto answered. Suna? Then you must be talking about Shukaku. Saiken said. Yup. At first he was wild and out of control, but I gave him a little bit of my own kind of therapy and now we're friends. Naruto explained. Yes, I agree, it's important for Jinchuriki to stick together, especially now of all times. Kurama added. How so? Utakata asked. This is something the Mizukage should know as well. Naruto said as they ended their link and found themselves back in the office. What just happened with you two? You both weren't moving for 15 minutes. Hotaru said. Just having a private conversation, but now I feel there's something you should know that concerns Utakata's safety. Naruto said. Safety? Mei asked. Yes. Has anyone ever heard of the Akatsuki organization? Mei looked down in guilt. Yes, as a matter of fact we do, because the truth is we believe Kiri was the start of this organization. What's the Akatsuki? Hotaru asked. Naruto answered. The Akatsuki is an organization composed of Nuke Nin with one goal in mind, to collect the 9 Biju. I've only met 2 of them and they were a dangerous pair. Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigaki. Mei looked shocked. So that's what Kisami's been doing all these years. You said Kiri was the start of the organization, but how? Naruto asked. Years ago during the reign of our Yondaime Mizukage, rumor had it Yagura was being manipulated by another force into starting the turmoil that led to bloodline slaughter. We believe the one who was manipulating him was the one who leads the Akatsuki, though we're still not sure. Mei explained. This calls for more looking into. I may be unable to go back to Konoha, but I can still keep in touch with Tsunade Basen and Ero Sennin. He said to himself. Naruto, you've obviously had a long day, why don't you go and relax in our hot spring? Utakata, show him the way. Mei ordered. Yes, ma'am, he said as the 2 walked out of the office. Hey Naruto, thanks for what you did for Hotaru. No problem. She said how much of a jerk I am. He asked. No, just nothing but respect. The redhead replied. That's surprising. I may not have a problem training her, but sometimes it can be tiring. Utakata explained. Can't say I know the feeling since I never trained anyone, but hey, if she's able to say such nice things about you, then you must be doing something right. Thanks, the slug Jinchuriki replied as they stopped by an onsen. Well, this is it, hope you enjoy it. You're not gonna join me, Utakata? Sorry, but I still got stuff to do. Well, check y'all later. Utakata walked off. Oh well, more space for me, Naruto said as he got undressed and entered the onsen waist wrapped in a towel and sat with his arms on the ledge with a towel on his forehead, just like the hot springs back home. Suddenly he heard the door slide open. Guess some of the others. He turned and gawked upon seeing Mei and Hotaru standing before him with their bodies wrapped in towels. I see you've gotten comfortable, Naruto. Mei smiled. What are you two doing here? Naruto gasped as he covered his nose for fear of nose bleeding. We've come for a bath as well. With me here? Naruto asked. This is a mixed onsen, Naruto. Mei assured him. Well, that's a relief. If Ero Sennin knew what I'd be doing, he'd be so envious of my luck. Naruto said. Who's Ero Sennin? Hotaru asked. You must be talking about Jiraiya of the Sannin. Mei said. Yup. Naruto replied. It certainly sounds like a fitting nickname. Mei admitted. And it drives him nuts. Naruto snickered as the girls got into the bath sitting across from him. Then is Tsunade of the Sannin really your grandma? Hotaru asked. No, I just like calling her that. I have nicknames for certain mentors I consider the closest. He replied. Speaking of family, I notice you have your mother's face but you have your father's eyes. Mei noticed. Well, I used to have his hair as well, until I dyed it red like my mom's. Partly so it'll be harder for certain people to not recognize me, Naruto said and looked at Hotaru. So Hotaru, just how did you come to be Utakata's student? Well, it all started out many years ago in my old village back when I was with my home clan Tsuchigumo. She began as Mei continued. The Tsuchigumo clan had in fact a link with Konoha at the time. A link? What kind? During the Third Shinobi War, the Tsuchigumo clan made a pact with the Sandaime Hokage. The clan head at the time created a powerful technique that could wipe out an entire village, though Hiruzen Sarutobi through the pact demanded it be made forbidden, in exchange for protection provided by Konoha in times of need. She continued, because they had such a dangerous technique they were targeted by rivaling nations, leading to many clan members being killed. Whoa! Naruto gasped, feeling it was the Uchiha and Kagaya clan all over again. Yes, in a last-ditch attempt Hotaru's grandfather sealed the forbidden technique within her and only a clan member of Hotaru herself can release it. As for meeting Utakata. It was 4 years ago when Utakata fled from here due to the harsh treatment he received being a Jinchuriki and all. By a bit of luck the two stumbled upon each other. Mei said as Hotaru continued. I was impressed by the skills he used to defend me against some nuke nin. I declared him as my master even though he tried to turn me away. I followed him until he would agree. You followed him? Naruto asked, seeing stalker written all over. Anyway, he reluctantly agreed, teaching me some water jutsu. It was later then 2 years later we were founded and brought back to Kiri where Mei-sama here. Many of the ninja welcomed Utakata back, having not been so blind as others, but sadly there are some villagers who aren't as accepting of him as others. I also trained Hotaru in a few jutsu as well, though she can be a bit of a rascal who gets into trouble. Mei teased while Hotaru whined. You're too mean, Mei-sama. Naruto chuckled. Oh, you two remind me of another adult and girl back in Konoha. He thought of Tsunade and Sakura. They relaxed until Hotaru slid over, getting closer to Naruto. Naruto. I was wondering if you could wash my back for me. She let her towel drop a bit behind her, exposing her clear back. Naruto blushed. You want me to? Yes, please. I'd really appreciate it, she replied. Well, okay. Naruto said as he started washing the girl's back as she moaned. That feels good, Naruto. Are you a natural at this? Hotaru moaned in delight. Actually, no. This is my first time doing this. Naruto admitted. First time? That's unfortunate. I'd think someone as handsome as you would do this for all the girls. Yeah, well, standing in the shadow of Sasuke made just about every girl in the village look right past me. What a shame, Hotaru said as she continued to enjoy her backwash. Naruto, I was wondering how would you like to live in Kiri with us? Mei offered. What? Naruto asked. Well, seeing as how you're no longer welcomed in Konoha, you deserve a new home. Mei explained. Naruto smiled. Thanks for the offer, Mei-sama, but I have to decline. Oh, and why's that? Mei asked, confused, while Hotaru looked disappointed. Because as of now, being around me isn't safe for the moment. How come? Hotaru asked. I may be banished from Konoha, but one member of their council still wants me dead. Danzo Shimura. The warhawk of a ninja. Mei feared recalling his reputation as a warmonger. Yeah, a week ago he sent some of his trained Anbu to assassinate me. It wasn't easy, but I managed to defeat them, and there's no question he's sent more to try and find me. That's why for now I have to be on the move. I understand. Mei nodded. As do I. Hotaru agreed. Well, you'll be welcomed here in case you need any place to stay. Mei assured him. Thanks. Naruto smiled as Hotaru laid in his chest, making him blush, while Mei giggled seeing how cute they looked. That night Naruto was set up in a guest bedroom but lied wide awake on his bed wearing a robe. Wow, I'm glad I got to know Kiri of this time rather than the past. Mei-sama's a nice woman, just like Tsunade-basen. And Hotaru, she understands how I feel about carrying a burden of power so dangerous it could bring destruction. He thought to himself until he looked, seeing his door open and entering was Hotaru in her own robe as well. Hotaru. Sorry Naruto, but I just wanted to see you before you decided to leave tomorrow. She explained, walking to his bed. No problem, I wasn't asleep anyway. Naruto said as Hotaru climbed on the bed. I also wanted to properly thank you for not only for what you did for me, but for letting me get to know you better. Thank me how? Naruto asked, only to get his chin cupped by Hotaru's hand. Through this, Hotaru said as she planted her lips on Naruto's, who graciously accepted the kiss. They kissed for 5 minutes before they parted. Wow. Naruto gasped. You're good, Hotaru said. You were even better. Naruto replied. This was my second kiss, wonder if I should tell her, nah. Naruto. Yeah, I know this is sudden, but if you ever decided on your true future, would you make me your wife? Huh? Naruto asked, taken aback by such an offer. Nobody knows how many Uzumakis are left from the clan, and it'd be a shame if you were the only one there is. So would you ever consider marrying me? I would make the best wife I could be, and help start a new generation to the Uzumaki clan. Hotaru, I'm touched you'd say that, but you know, being the last male of a near-extinct clan entitles me to take up more than one bride. And I'd like to try it, at least make an attempt to. I understand if you ever find others who'd be willing to help restore your clan, I would be accepting of that. Good, and who knows, I may end up taking your offer into consideration. After all, I'm really starting to like you and we both have a lot in common. He noted. I know, we both carry burdens placed upon us by our families, and I know we could help each other overcome those burdens. Hotaru said. Agreed, so I may be leaving tomorrow, but I will come back and visit sometime. And when I find a perfect place to start my own home, I'll bring you there. You promise? Hotaru asked. I promise. He kissed her forehead the way Tsunade kissed his. Then let's make the most of tonight, Hotaru said as she pulled Naruto into a kiss and they started making out, which led to Hotaru sleeping in his bed with him. The very next morning Naruto collected his stuff and stood on the roof of the administration building with Mei, Ao, Chojuro, Utakata, and Hotaru. Seeing him off, well, time I got going. Naruto said. Are you sure you won't consider staying, Naruto? Chojuro asked. Can't, Chojuro, it's a big ninja world out there and I'm gonna see it all. Naruto declared. Well, come back when you can. Mei said. Will do. Naruto promised. Good luck out there, Naruto. Ao said. Thanks. We'll never forget you, friend. Utakata said. And stay safe. Hotaru added. I will. Naruto said as he started hovering a bit. Gotta fly. He took off into the sky and flew off, leaving Kiri for parts unknown.